Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to Kaulig Nation. I've seen a few of you were waiting to get in on the stream already. At one point, I think it said 8 people waiting to get in here. And we don't do live streams very frequently anymore. Oh, 8 people, what do you know? We don't do live streams very frequently anymore. Ryan and I have been working on the story for, the better part of 2 months now, talking with various sources that we have. You probably know we were one of the first people to it, and I can confidently say, I think I put in our preview, either the hard work will pay off or we will look like idiots. I mean, we might do both, but it would seem the hard work has paid off by early indication as they're getting ready to go live. We've seen some photos from the announcement, and if you are a fan of Kaulig Racing, you are not going to be disappointed in what's about to come. Ryan?
Yeah, I tell you, we've been having this conversation now for at least a month, maybe even longer. We first caught wind of this, through some various channels about 6 weeks ago, and really started digging into it. And we weren't so sure, and it seemed like a long shot at best. But we've continued to dig deeper and talk to the people we have a contact with, and you've done a great job reaching out and just getting little nuggets here and there. So I really appreciate the hard work you put in on this, Sean. And yeah, I mean, the last, I would say 2 weeks for the most part, we've really felt confident that this was going to happen. And, it's definitely an incredible time to be a Kaulig fan for sure. And, the impact this is going to have on the team is insurmountable. I can't even put into words what this is going to look like long term. So I'm super excited to have the opportunity to be live with you. And yeah, this is pretty big moment for not only us, but for Kaulig fans around the world.
The live announcement will happen at NASCAR.com, according to Bob Pockras, not on Press Pass, just flat out on NASCAR.com. Really, they should have had. I'm going to get my nitpicking out of the way now. This thing should have been set up days ago because you wouldn't have been spoiling anything team-wise. Allowing media to have their phones out already before you make the announcement has already spoiled everything team-wise. So, yeah, I wish I could say who has helped us with this story, but we don't want to get anybody in trouble. And just thank you. We greatly appreciate it. We've worked really, really hard on this thing, and we hope that it's going to be what everybody expects. If you're here and you want to talk Dodge, Ram, Cup Series, Truck Series, Kaulig, feel free to do so. I believe the stream is monetized, but my goal is to actually take the audio from their end and see if we can play it through here. We might not be able to, so you might just be hearing Ryan and I's reaction to it. But yeah, anything you want to talk about, feel free to put in the comment section. We'll be live for about the next hour or so, breaking it down, and then I'll do just like a comprehensive video of everything a little bit later on. But yeah, it almost feels surreal that we're here, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like there's a lot of noise in the world of NASCAR, in the world of media in general, right? There's social media has just blown everything into just a billion bits of information, and a couple of weeks ago, we really started listening. We've been listening to Chris Rice on XM for the better part of a year plus, since he started doing his weekly hits. And, a couple of weeks ago when he flat out debunked Pete Pistone or Mike Bagley, and Mike Bagley said, nope, it's not going to be Kaulig. And then, Chris didn't agree with him. He basically left the door wide open. And, you heard it, you brought me to it. I listened to it. We got some material out within a couple hours of hearing that conversation. We were one of the very first to really be on the final stretch of this with this. And I feel like we've done a great job covering this as Kaulig Nation. This is a huge Kaulig story. So, it's a big deal for everyone involved, and I'm really hoping we get to go live because now I'm just antsy to actually hear the announcement. And I know you've been worried, the pessimistic side of you for the last couple of weeks, saying, oh, if it falls through, this is just going to be a heart, literal crusher, and Kaulig has proved us wrong multiple times with what they said they were going to do versus what they have done. So, until we saw literally the backdrop of this announcement about 15 minutes ago, I think even up until then, we had a slight hesitation as to what this announcement was going to be. So it's been a whirlwind 2 weeks, but I think we've been at the forefront of it. And again, all the people that you've contacted and we've talked to through our channels have been super instrumental in giving us the access and insight to be one of the first on this. So this is a cool story for us.
There's going to be people that wonder why we don't get access to Kaulig drivers and why their PR team doesn't get back to us about things. And unfortunately, when you play this side of the game, if you will, the team doesn't necessarily look that fondly upon it, but it's what we've been doing for a while. And, we're here. I'm excited that we're here. I'm excited that we're talking about it. Cameron Kirby says X has a bunch of picks, but the stream does not appear to be up. What a shock.
And NASCAR.com has actually dropped the
has
story.
A story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a brief, though. The story will be updated. They basically just say that Kaulig and Ram are a team. So it's official, which is cool. But what would be better is if they successfully were able to do a live stream of this, which they said they would be. And at the moment, they're not. I mean, there will be stuff that comes out afterwards, I'm sure, but the handling of this has been poor at best. Again, it's a positive day. Don't want to speak too negatively of it, but as someone who's done content creation for a decade now, your live stream should be out way before the event starts.
Yeah, it's interesting. Had they done this at the Speedway, I know they would have had much easier access to do this live stream, but technology is so easy these days that all it takes is one camera, literally, to be aimed at a podium and doing exactly what we're doing, live streaming. So it is definitely frustrating that we don't have that on NASCAR, even though they said they would provide that material. But I'm looking at now a post from Adam Stern, who is pretty much the most reliable source in the sport, and he's got a picture of a Kaulig Ram number 10 truck. No sponsorship on it, which I'm not surprised by, but black and gold, or black and some yellow. It's really quite sharp, actually. I'm not sure if that's a planned color scheme or what, but it is a very sharp looking rendering nonetheless, with a ram head on the end of the Kaulig name, which is quite sharp.
There you have it. There is, you see Matt Kaulig, Chris Rice, Ty Norris, and I'm going to take a guess and say the other fella is a representative of Ram, because I don't know who that person is, but I do like those shirts. I could not be more pissed off with NASCAR's handling of this, though. Like, this is, it's live now. I'm going to try to pull it up for us. We might get taken down. So if we do get taken down, my apologies. I'm going to see if I can backtrack this at all. Yes, I can. All right. I can tell you, and it's not my internet connection, their quality is just not good. So if we get taken down, Ryan and I will be back after all the details come out. So feel free to check back on this page. If you're new to this page, by the way, like, comment, subscribe. We do content almost every day now. And it's not just Kaulig we cover. We have a fairly heavy interest in Trackhouse and SVG and a Patreon program, as it's listed on the screen. Let me see if I can get this up. And it's going to let me go back to the beginning. The question is, I don't know if we're going to get taken down or not.
We have some other guests with us today. Please welcome from Stellantis North America, our Senior Vice President of Brand Marketing, Nate Bulow. For Kaulig Racing Team President, Chris Rice. And Kaulig Racing Chief Business Officer, Ty Norris. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll now hand it off to Matt Kaulig.
Thank you. You guys, thanks for being here. I've never been more excited or more enthusiastic
Apologies for the grainy
to make
quality.
any kind of announcement actually in my life. I've done a lot of announcements. I have a lot of businesses, and I'm just super excited about what we have going on and what the future holds for what we have going on. So everybody saw that Ram announced at Michigan a couple months ago that they're coming back to NASCAR.
Yeah, I can't believe they
Truck
announced
series.
only 2 months ago
And
that
I
they're
want to
doing
announce
this. It's
that we
happening
at
so
Kaulig
quick.
Racing are also coming back, or not coming back, but we're going to the Truck Series, and we couldn't be more excited about it. And so today we wanted to announce our partnership that we've been working on for months with Ram and Kaulig Racing. For Kaulig Racing, they chose us and we chose them for Kaulig Racing to be the anchor factory team for Ram trucks. So in the series, we couldn't be more excited about it. It's awesome, and we can't wait. So I want to
think you
give
had
you
to
a
be
little
careful
bit of
there
backstory
with
for those
anchor,
of you that
and
you
specifically
don't
say
know
trucks.
about Kaulig Racing.
But that felt
the
more
last,
than just trucks.
10 years. So I actually personally got into NASCAR as a sponsor. So I had the opportunity to sponsor 2 Cup cars or 2 Cup races with Blake Cook back in 2014 with my company, Leaf Filter Gutter Protection. So those of you that don't know, I started a company called Leaf Filter Gutter Protection out of my house in 2005. So 20 years ago, we just had our 20-year anniversary. And, since I've grown that company, we've got 153 locations in the US and Canada. We've built that into the largest direct-to-consumer home products company really in the world. And we'll do about $1.8 billion in sales this year. So that's with a B.
Matt Kaulig is a rich man, if there was any concerns about that.
Okay. So then I did that for 2 races and had a blast. So sponsored Blake Cook as a sponsor in the Xfinity Series with TriStar Motorsports in 2015, and had an absolute blast and really fell in love with the sport. I got to know some of the other owners, some of the people.
Bringing down the audio just for a second. Matt's just given his life story here. The important thing there that we got from that information was factory team. And make no mistake, barring them making a very bad business decision, this will affect the Cup Series too. But like Ryan and I have said on our videos lately, that information might be withheld for a while.
Yeah, definitely not expecting any announcements outside of truck, but I think we're going to get some real good information about how Kaulig is going to interact with Dodge. And Anchor Factory Team is pretty explicit, which is a good thing.
Eventually 2 cars in the Xfinity Series, and then eventually 3 cars. And then
Called it the premier team too. So Kaulig is it. And if you go back and listen to the Tim, I forget his last name, but the Ram CEO, the guy in charge of the racing department, he says we need to partner with a team that can get us to the Cup Series. So make no mistake, this is not just a truck thing; it's a Cup thing. But they will probably keep the focus on the Truck Series today, and likely do another one of these for the Cup Series.
Yeah, once they have a car to show, you can see off to the left of the picture here that they have their truck under the veil that they're going to show us at some point. When they're ready to do that for the Cup car, we'll get another one of these for sure.
And we now have, we're in our 10th year. We're only in our 10th year, so we're 9.5 years old. And we have 2 Cup trophies and 27 Xfinity trophies. So we get
27 Xfinity wins. That's more than I realized.
I also wanted to announce
that's good as well.
That, of what we're running next year. So I know Ram doesn't do anything small, as you can see by the dealerships and everything else. And I know at Kaulig Racing we don't do anything small. So when we're going into the Truck Series, we're not going to kind of silently come in or just kind of tiptoe our way in. We're doing it big. So they say if you should do it big. And so I want to announce that we're doing 5 trucks next year.
Holy shit.
Wow. Well, no wonder they might only have one Xfinity car.
No kidding.
Something tells me they're going to need a new sup, which you might have heard of at a new channel or at this channel.
And we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So
There you go, Tori. Confirmed 5 trucks.
Congratulations to Kaulig Racing and the uniqueness that this relationship is going to bring to Ram. And now it's time to bring up a man that's never short on words, Kaulig Team President Chris Rice.
Time for some blabbering.
I thought it was
The guy who probably said more than he should have said the other day.
I don't have much to say.
But I very much appreciate him.
This couldn't be done without all the men and women at Kaulig Racing. There was not an I in our team. You know, we were very fortunate to be able to get a longtime friend of mine, Ty Norris, and it's been a unique relationship, I would say, because we think so differently. But it's been great for probably both of us. I think it's changed our lives when we got Ty Norris back almost a year ago now. Personally, he helped me, but business-wise, he's helped me more than he'll ever know. I know sometimes we sit behind closed doors and probably look like we're not even stepbrothers. We're real brothers, and we're arguing and fighting and having a good time doing it. But at the end of the day, we do it because of this guy. And we're very fortunate to have Ram believe in us. But first off, Matt believing in us, believing in somebody in North Carolina that was a redneck that he couldn't understand the first time I talked to him. I had to say it like 3 times, and yeah, my mom's watching. It was because I grew up in South Boston, Virginia. So, you know, thank you, Matt, for being able to get us to this point, you know. And I told Tim Kaniskis this morning before we came here how much I appreciate this. But actually, Nate and Randy and everybody behind the Ram deal, we appreciate you believing in us, even though we don't have a truck trophy yet, right? But we appreciate you believing in us to be able to bring the Ram name back and bring it back bigger than ever. We do things different because we love to smile, and winning trophies makes us smile. NASCAR, thanks for allowing us to do this also. We appreciate this. Jim, Mike, Brooks, everybody that allows us to do this. Thank you guys. But at the end of the day, you guys know what I do when we come into the media center after we have a trophy. I scream at you. So hopefully we do that in a truck series. We change it. We make it a lot of fun, and we keep people smiling.
5 trucks.
Thank you, Chris.
That's a lot.
And now
Wild.
it's time to bring up our CEO of Ram, Nate Bulow.
Also, I
A
don't
lot
know
of
this
money.
lady's name, but she obviously is a Dodge representative as well.
I'm not the CEO of Ram. I'm a poor substitute for Tim. But either way, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a part of this. This is obviously an iconic moment for Kaulig Racing, for Ram Trucks to be back in the sport. Many of you saw our reveal moment at Michigan, and we were really happy with that. It was different, it was loud, it was big, and it's everything Matt said. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to find a partner that could do it with us. To tell a quick story, Matt, Chris, and Ty came up to Auburn Hills a while ago at this point for us to find out what teams we were going to work with. And, you know, I think for those of you that do know my boss, Tim, he doesn't do anything small. He doesn't do things the way they've always been done just for the sake of it. And I think we threw a lot of crazy stuff at him, no different than we did with our good friends at NASCAR when we decided, hey, we do want to pursue this, we want to come back. And thank you, one, to our friends at NASCAR for being incredibly gracious and helping us usher our way back to this path, even with their big, crazy ideas. But to get back to Kaulig for a second, they were incredible partners in hearing us out, even though we had some big, crazy, wild ideas that I'm sure you guys thought were stupid in some parts. But they've been helping us shape that strategy and bring us back to get to that 5 trucks, to be out here next February with trucks on track competing for a championship. It's an incredible moment for our brand, and we couldn't be more thankful to them, to Randy here for letting us use his store at Daytona Dodge. But the one thing I will tell you guys, today we're not going to talk about drivers, we're not going to talk about team structure, all that. That's all going to be coming here very shortly, and I promise you, we've got a whole bunch of crazy
Well, that's
wild
good for
ideas
us.
of how we want to do that, and hopefully
A lot more
Matt,
videos to
Chris,
talk
and
about.
Ty can help keep us honest.
That's exactly how I thought they were going to do it too.
But
This is all leading to the Cup
it will be
Series.
fun. It will be big. It will be loud, and we're here to drive attention.
And thank you,
back to
803,
not only
for
Grand
clarifying
Trucks,
that's Wendy
which I can't wait to
Venturini.
get
She
this
did look familiar.
for this, but also for the sport in general, and how we can bring more of that new audience, more of that passion fan base into the sport and drawing them in to watch our truck compete every weekend. So thank you guys. That's all I've got.
That's Nate Bulow, the Senior Vice President of Brand Marketing for Ram. And now I know you guys are super excited, as Nate just mentioned, it's time to unveil this cool paint scheme. If Matt would like to help us with that, and we'll come downstairs.
Did they realize
so you guys
Ty
can get
Norris
set
hasn't
up
said a
for
word
some
yet?
Photos as we unveil the Kaulig Racing Ram for 2026.
Yeah, I would have loved to have heard from Ty, because I kind of get the feeling he spearheaded a lot of this.
You got stickers on where to go.
This deal doesn't.
And here
This
is
deal doesn't
the
happen without them.
2026 Kaulig Racing Ram truck.
I do want to acknowledge that that's the number 10, which is Daniel Dye's number.
Nice looking it is. It is. And I know we have some time for questions from the media. So if we can have, did everyone get their photos? Let's get Matt.
You know, I originally would have thought RCR would have gone to. They're not going to get into the Cup stuff today. Clearly, they're going to get asked about it, but it's probably going to be, you know, put off to the side. We'll talk about that at a later date. Or right now, we're just focusing on trucks. There won't be an adamant no. If there is, it's not a very good business decision.
All right, if we can have you guys join us back on stage. I'm going to hand the microphone over, but it is time to open it up for some Q&A from our media members. And Carly, I believe, has our microphone.
But to run 5 trucks, there's a significant amount of money coming. Like, they are the factory team. I never dreamed of 4 trucks, let alone 5.
Questions from the media?
Yeah, when we were talking about this yesterday, Sean, we were thinking 2 tops. So the fact that
Yeah,
they're
we
going
said
5
2,
is
2, 2.
mind-blowing. Yeah, 2, 2, 2 is our thought.
For Matt and maybe Chris as well. Going from 0 to 5 in a relative hurry is a big undertaking. What steps do you guys have to take to make sure, even though it's quick expansion, that you guys can be ready to be competitive at a high level and be ready to win races like you guys have always said you want to do?
I mean, I think it's easy, but it'll be up to Chris.
You know, that's a great question, because my biggest fear is failing, right? That's my biggest fear when we talk about this. And we sit on many calls with Nate and his entire team, and Ty and I talked about this. We talk about it all the time, actually. We don't want to fail. So the way you don't fail is the men and women. The men and women we have at Kaulig Racing that make it happen is we can't do it alone. We obviously have to have enough room to be able to do it. We're busting at the seams with all the stuff we have now, but we got to have enough room. But we got to have the men and women to do it. You know,
5
we have
Dodge
always
trucks,
said when
5 Rams.
Matt called me October, whatever, into October, going into the 2016 season, and wanted to go Xfinity racing. I told him there's no way. You know, and we've always found a way, and that's what we're going to do now with all the help that we have, all the people.
They're going to have a bigger shop to do 5 trucks.
We'll do it, but
100%. I'm guessing that rumor we heard is true.
We're going to struggle. There is zero. We're not going to show up at the racetrack and dominate or do anything like that, because we don't even know. We got to get some time on the racetrack. We got to do stuff like that. We got to get our drivers
would be great.
Put in there, and we know we're going to have those times. What we look at is, when will we win? How are we going to win? How can we get there to do it? And we're not going to take no for an answer, and that's just with everybody, all the people. So, but you're all right.
Are you guys adding personnel then, Chris?
A lot. You need a job? We got a couple people.
I'm getting my CV ready now, Sean.
Anybody need a job? Just line up over in the corner.
Do they hire
Justin,
Canadians?
Yes,
I'll come
I'm
down.
sure they would.
Parker's Fox Sports. Nate, will this be your own
Bobby.
organization?
Yeah, as of right now, we are exclusively partnered with Kaulig Racing. They are our anchor team for our entire endeavor next year.
And for Chris, will this group?
That's
be
one way of
based
doing it.
at,
Instead of splitting it into two
your
teams.
shops that are kind of on the RCR campus, or will have to be somewhere else?
No, they will. We're going to be in Welcome, North Carolina until further notice. I mean, or until we decide to go somewhere else. But right now, we're not looking to move. Matt owns both shops. He owns all the land there. We're looking at more properties in that area to be able to expand to. But yes, it will be in Welcome.
Yeah,
For now.
and we might have the address of the other property.
We
About 10
legitimately
minutes
think we
from
know. Yep, we think we know which property they're looking at.
Truck series, and what made you want to take on this challenge?
Well, it's fun. I mean, we've always been, for the last 10 years. I mean, we're up against some pretty stiff competition. I mean, when we talk about even other manufacturers being key partners, and I mean, even coming into the sport, it's like we have to have an alliance deal with a key partner. And so
I
we've
agree,
always been
ZR. I
searching.
think Ty
know
stays
NASCAR's
another
been
year
trying to get,
while they're at one
other
welcome.
manufacturers into the sport. So even us talking to NASCAR and us talking to other manufacturers, it was just a really great fit. With Nate and Tim and Ram. I've always been fascinated with I feel like we've done a really great job in Xfinity. I feel like we're doing a really great job in Cup. I mean, we've only been, what is this, our third full-time season? Fourth full-time season. I mean, we're up against teams that have been doing this for 50 years. So it's a very exciting time to get into the truck series, and these guys are great partners, and even meeting with them a bunch of times, it's just going to be fun. I'm all about. That's what I like, Chris and Ty. I mean, we're all about having fun. We want to have fun at the racetrack. I mean, sometimes it's a very serious business. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a sport. You're racing race cars, and there's a lot on the line. You've got the manufacturer, you've got sponsors. It's a very serious situation, but you also need to have fun, or else it'll just tear you apart week after week. So this is a new venture. I have a lot of new ventures in my life as far as businesses and buying and selling businesses and always doing new things. So I feel like this is an awesome challenge to try to get trophies. If we could somehow get trophies. When I first started the team, it was like, all right, let's see if we can win one trophy, like in the Xfinity series. I mean, that'd be a giant accomplishment from somebody that's outside the sport, not a racer, like just come in the sport. And then we actually could win Cup trophies. So to go down and go try to win some trophies in the truck series, and then at the end of the movie, it's like, all right, Kaulig Racing's won in the Cup series, Xfinity series, and truck series. I think it'd be amazing.
What I took away from there is they spoke to multiple manufacturers and then decided to go with Ram.
And then kind of Dodge can chime in on this too. You guys are going to be a dual OEM shop. How do you keep the two separate from one another between the series? And for Dodge, are you guys kind of okay with the scenario of having two OEMs being housed between competing series?
I guess y'all looking at me to answer that question. Well, so that's a great question, and it's a question we're gonna get a lot, and they do it all the time. Penske does it. A lot of people do it to where you have different OEMs and different series. And yes, this is a NASCAR series, but NASCAR also owns IMSA. That's just not their only racing series. And if we're sitting here talking, we're talking Ram. They're Ram trucks. We're not talking Dodge. We're talking Ram. And we have never been in the truck series. We don't have anything going on in the truck series. So, to be able to go and run in the truck series, it's total separate, basically business. You'll see in all of our. If you want to go follow us on social media, now we have our own truck series social media. So it is just total separate deal. We are very fortunate for what we've had over 10 years with Chevrolet. And, it is something totally separate. And every OEM, I think, wants more OEMs in the sport. And I don't want to speak for NASCAR, but I want to say it that I think it is healthy for the sport to be able to have Ram come back. I think it's healthy to show the fans that, look, you can come up buy a Ram truck that races on Friday night, Thursday night, Saturday night.
Someone just needs to come up with the question about, are you going Cup racing with these guys?
Basically,
The answer is
we are
yes,
one
but you're not
team
going to
working on
probably get a
stuff. So
clear-cut
that was a
answer
great
from them
question, and that's the way
anytime
we're
soon.
going to keep it. You know, we have Chevys that's going to run.
No, the way he just explained that is pretty good. Separation of church and state, basically.
He's trying to be
For
very
now.
careful what he
And that's
says.
what our big focus
You can
is.
tell.
Yeah, no, these have their own stuff. This is such a big undertaking. They'll have their own people, their own engineers. Everything will be their own. It's a big undertaking when you have 5 and we got to build everything. I think when they walked out the door years ago, that everything's gone. So you gotta build it. I mean, you know, I'm going
They're almost
record
creating
right
it
now
as a
and say
separate
we're probably
team.
looking for over 50 people. You know, well over 50 people.
He's saying that. I'm not buying it.
I'm not either. He's saying what he has to say.
Our organization, we're going to be working with 2 manufacturers, and as we've had multiple conversations with our existing OEM, it's all about respect for one another. And that's how Nate and Tim want to approach it. That's how Matt, Chris, and I have talked about it. We understand that there's going to be some firewalls that are being put up, and we're going to respect that to do whatever we have to do to be respectful to run these 2 OEMs.
Scotty Sprinkle Race Face Digital.
Firewalls.
AKA,
i.e.
To see what Kaulig Racing has
Chevy's
done
taking their support away.
2016, you didn't even really think you could go Xfinity racing to now full-time, multiple cars in Xfinity, multiple full-time cars in Cup, wins in both series, now 5 in trucks. What does it mean to see what Kaulig Racing has become for you as an owner and for you, Chris, as somebody who's helped run the ship?
Well, I think it's great. You know, on our race, I believe in business and in life, whether it's relationships or in business or on a race team, either you continue to grow or you begin to die. I mean, that's on our race, in our race shop, that's on the wall. Either you continue to grow or you begin to die. So I'm always of the opinion of, like, you just don't stay the same. I mean, if you just stayed the same and just had a 2-car team and you just expected things to be just the same year after year, one, for me, that's not fun. I mean, that's boring. And, you know, I think for even employees, that's boring. You don't want to just go to work and do the same old thing and have the same old thing year after year. So I think it's super exciting just to be in different series, add cars, add drivers, just try different things. And that's what I'm excited about with Nate and these guys over at Ram, that they want to do exciting things, and we want to be different. And you guys will understand what that means, I think, over time. But it's going to be a good ride, and it's going to be fun. So that's why I do it.
Yeah, and when you say that, you got me teary-eyed because I don't.
Over time, big things.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers the day we didn't have a 9/16 wrench.
At the same time,
we didn't have nothing.
Sorry, I'm going to lower the volume.
Justin Cox,
I've heard this story about 10
in the
times.
shop one day, we had nothing. And we could tell our story.
They can say it's run like 2 teams, but clearly their intent is to keep the 2 shops at Welcome, North Carolina, and then add a 3rd shop. He basically spelled that out.
1 o'clock a.m.
There's no way. I would give it a 1% chance that this isn't leading to them being the Tier 1 Cup team as well. But they're not at a point where they're ready to talk about that yet. If it doesn't lead to that, then I do view it as a failure on the organization, because why would you continue to run with maybe not cut off support, but it's going to be limited support?
Well, it's up to Dodge as well to go Cup racing, right? It's not a failure on Kaulig if Dodge doesn't go Cup racing.
They are, though. That's their intent. I listened to the CEO the other day of his interview with Kevin Harvick, and he flat out says, and we'll take the quote for a future video, we need to partner with a Cup team and truck so we have a pathway to Cup.
What you said is correct.
I wish he was here talking too.
All we can say is we're going to sit here and give you all that we can give you. We're going to show you, and we're going to do the best we can. Are we going to fail at some times? Absolutely. Are we going to have people talk about us at times, how bad we did? Absolutely. We've made some decisions that people laugh at. But I can tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do it different, and it's going to be a lot of fun doing it.
First off, can you share anything?
Yeah, they're definitely going to be the Cup team.
Do you have anybody that'll build a bunch right now? Because we'll probably need them all. We have some avenues. We've done a lot of talking. It's been kept so secretive until today that we have some meetings coming up that we're going to be able to talk to people. But we always find a way, and that's basically where I can leave it.
You've been open in the past in interviews about the Xfinity and Cup programs needing to be better, not, have fallen off a little bit, and so on. So is there a concern of now adding more to the company? And I guess basically just like, why add more? Why do this when you're trying to get those two programs where you want them to be?
I knew this question was coming, so I was prepared this morning.
It's a great question.
I'm gonna first answer the why. We will die if we don't have a partner like Ram or somebody that can come in and we can be an anchor team or a tier 1 team or something like that. And do I worry about it hurting initially? Yeah, I worry about it hurting everything initially, and that's just my worry. I think we talk about this a lot, and with Ty's experience and seeing that happen a lot of times, we worry about that a lot. But I can tell you that he don't care. He doesn't care. Like, these guys just want us to go and push, and we try to figure out how to not let it bother the others. And that's what we're gonna do. I think anytime you grow, it hurts another part of it, right? You have a second child, your first child gets, not looked at it the same, right? So I think what I'll tell you is, yes, we want to be better. Our Cup program is phenomenal right now. I think it is better than people give it credit for, because it is a massive undertaking to go beat the Hendricks, the Gibbs, the RCRs, those people, and we do it. Ty Dillon has done a great job. AJ's done a great job. So what we're going to try to do is keep that separate, and we're going to keep our men and women that are already pushing on the other stuff, pushing on that, and we're just going to add to it and make them live the Kaulig way.
Kelly, I wanted to add one thing. One of the whys is stability. This partnership is a multi-year deal with fully sponsored trucks that brings our employees the confidence that
Dodge sponsoring all the trucks.
We're not going anywhere. We're going to be racing, and in this industry, there's so many times where you're going from year to year, worrying about whether or not the sponsors are coming back or where you stand, and the ability to put a stake in the ground and know that these employees are going to be here, the company's going to be here. We have partners who are going to keep us for years, moving on for years. That's one of the reasons why, because for the employees.
Greg and Go with Forbes. I have two questions in honor of Wolfgang. One, this is the culmination of an idea, right? Somebody had. How did this all get started? Who approached who? Was it NASCAR approaching you? Was it Pam approaching you? How did it all get started?
I think, to summarize, we have some mutual friends, and mutual friends put us together. And I think once we all sat down together, worked through some of these details, because I would never want to speak for Matt, but I can say for Ram, we want to work with partners that kind of understand our DNA and that it is a little bit different, and we're pretty particular about that piece. And I think the time that we spent with the Kaulig Racing side, we realized really quickly that it was a great fit for both of us. So.
And I don't want to put too much of our laundry out there, but NASCAR knew how Ram works. They've watched us in the sport. Jim knows how feisty I am. Right? And he's watched Matt pay his dues. So I would say that's probably some of it.
Jim France in the attendance? That's interesting.
Go see these guys or whatever. But those guys being able to educate them as they're working through their contract of like, hey, here's a list of all our teams. They got to look at a different. Matt at one time said, when we're not running good, let's just blow the driver out of the truck, and that'll get us some TV time. That's the way Matt thinks. I think that's the way Tim thinks. AJ probably wouldn't drive. This is when we had some other drivers, and I was like, we can't blow drivers out of here. He said, they'll have a parachute. They'll be fine. We can't do that. So I would say they've watched us be aggressive and be different. Justin see me how different I am. I answered an email, I think, a month and a half later. So definitely we are different, and I would say some of that too. But I'm just going to bring, cat out of the bag. The guy that allowed us to use this facility, we believed in his son probably a couple years ago, and I've probably taken him under my wing a little more than I have other drivers, just because I truly like the kid, not for any other reason. And he's seen how we acted and how we worked and how our business worked. And like he got to see us from inside out. Bad days are good days. You know, we qualified.
He's talking about, for those that don't know, Daniel Dye's father owns that dealership. And what
every time you make an appearance in front of us, you're going to be put on the hot seat in the room. You know it. But I've got to ask, because there's legions of fans. When Ram announced they were coming back, it was like the
here it is.
Jesus, right? It was a big, huge deal. So of course, it would be like Jesus having a son when they start talking about moving that next step, right? Bringing the Dodge brand back to the sport. And I know what you're, and I know there's no immediate plans or anything, but is this a stepping stone where you can kind of get your feet wet and study that possibility moving ahead in the future?
Yeah, I absolutely think that it is. We've got a lot of work to do to get 5 trucks on the track for next year, and a lot of learnings across all of us and what that looks like. I mean, it's been a long time since we'll just call it a Mopar vehicle was running on NASCAR tracks.
If you didn't catch it, Matt Kaulig was nodding his head during that.
But that's part of the process.
I did not
right?
catch
to learn,
that.
To get there, and every intention
He's
of
doing it
being
right now,
active
too.
up and running a Dodge.
We're going to run a Dodge on track.
Chris, just a question: if with the 5 teams, do you plan to have 5 full-time drivers, or will you maybe have a all-star truck where you guys can put different drivers in there to help the program grow throughout the season?
We're still working through all that. Ram has a bunch of ideas. Matt has a bunch of ideas. Ty has a bunch of ideas. And so we're still working through all that. We will go for some championships. All trucks will go for championships as owner trucks, but we're still working through all that. But glad to see
AKA, yes, there will be an
all-star
all-star
truck.
truck.
Question is, what will it mean as far as the Kaulig Racing legacy for you guys to be fielding teams in all 3 national divisions next year? That one of the few, if not the only team to do that, all 3 divisions.
I think it means Ty and I got to leave on Wednesday night. Don't get back till Monday. I think is what it means. No, look, he just looked at his wife like, uh-oh. When you say it that way, I've never thought about that. Like, I really haven't, because I've taken some time off this year.
Hey, there's the lady that won't get back to us.
I went with Matt a couple of times and different things like
I was
that.
just thinking that.
Every series is big. That's a big deal. That's a thanks to Matt Kaulig for believing for 10 years and just continuously pushing, not having a financial backing like some of the bigger teams.
I get them being upset because we've been over this story and putting it out there more than anyone.
A little bit, probably, but also
he's the one that blew the door off the hinges on XM.
That Kaulig Racing.
I don't think they're upset with us for talking about this.
You can't forget it.
At all.
It looks like, and we'll see some flags hanging at the
They
racetracks.
did it themselves.
Take over the infield, put flags up everywhere. Give flags away. We give some Ram flags away, some Kaulig Racing flags away. So to think about it that way, it actually is pretty cool.
It is interesting. I do believe they're the only team going to be in all 3 series.
It means as you grow up and become this level of team, it's about believing in the people who you're going to put in each position. And I've seen him work on room lists. Who's sitting in a room? Who's sitting next to each other in a plane? Who bought lug nut? I mean, like, hey, Chris. As we grow, we have to put people in places now that we just put a lot of trust in to get those things done. And to your point, we will be as big as any organization in NASCAR, and that
creates one hell of a pipeline.
It does. And I think that's the big driving force for this.
Thank you so much for all the questions here, for the media attending here today, and also, gentlemen, for all your words of wisdom and information giving us to the NASCAR community. Also want to thank Randy Dye. Thank you so much for your hospitality and hosting us today. And also for Giuseppe providing lunch for all of you. So media members, please stop by in the back. You do have lunch provided. And we can't wait to see a Ram truck in 2026 back on the track. We'll see you all tonight at the racetrack. Thank you for being here.
Let's talk about what we've heard, dude, because we've heard some things. And look, let me give people some insight at when you go to a press conference. And it's not always this way, but I can tell you I've covered the Toronto International Film Festival 3 times in my life. 2016, 2018, 2019. And I was supposed to cover 2020, but other things happened. At these press conferences, and I'm not saying this happened, but at times they will tell you, if you're lucky enough to be in attendance, do not ask this. Because if you do, you're out and your media credentials will not be approved the next time around. And you might notice no one blatantly asked, are you going to be a tier 1 cup team? The closest was the guy that kind of hinted at it. Is this a stepping stone to that? And you got to put the pieces together. Again, I strongly suggest everybody go listen to that. Is it Tim Kostinsness or something like that?
Stikinski, yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird last name. I mean, I have a weird last name, so whatever. But if you go and listen to that interview that is live on YouTube from a couple months back with Kevin Harvick, he says, we need to partner with a team that is going to allow us to go cup racing. That's what we're going to do. So, and you might have heard Ty Norris addressing firewalls. Make no mistake, this team, Kaulig Racing, will be going cup racing, and I would assume Xfinity racing, with Dodge. And that's the one nugget you can take from this, is it hasn't been officially confirmed anywhere, is they did say it would be a Dodge, not one of the other Stellantis brands, a Dodge in the Cup Series. It's going to lead to that. But they're going to want to do another one of these events, as Ryan pointed out, when they have a body, when they have a car, when they have details. They're saying all the right things right now about keeping the teams separate, which, by the way, is how I feel their Cup and Xfinity team should be, and it's not. But a level of that is going to be probably Chevrolet saying, yeah, you can still run our stuff. We're going to cut some support from you, though. And, we'd rather the trucks not be in those two buildings, is my guess.
And I would say RCR has the same feeling, and I recognize they own their buildings, and you can do whatever you want in your own property, right? That's your property. But it is on One Welcome. It is an RCR campus. I would not be surprised if RCR themselves or Chevy reached out and said, listen, we don't want Dodge chassis on this property. And I would understand it. But I mean, you've touched on this before. The shop itself, even with two shops, because they have one shop for cars and the other shop is where they do all of their inspection stuff. They have the shaker machine and they have the lasers and blah blah blah. They don't have enough room in that shop to do 5 trucks, 2 Xfinity, 2 Cup. So we were kind of on this about having a separate property for a while, and we think we know where it is. And I do believe it. At some point in the future, they will shift completely to that shop. But at least in the short term, they will probably separate that, put the trucks over there, have it separated from their One Welcome campus. And by staying on One Welcome, at least for the next calendar year, that does give them that support from RCR and maybe a minimal amount from Chevy. And while we haven't fully heard the announcement, I would also expect that's a clear indication that Ty Dillon will be back next year as part of whatever agreement they've come up with Chevy.
Well, we don't know there is an agreement yet. We keep hearing that there's an agreement, and something keeps holding said agreement up. Tori says in the chat, by the way, if you haven't yet, you're new to the channel, I know there's been 70, 80 people in here at times, please click the thumbs up. It takes 1 second, and it really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new, click the subscribe button, because we have all sorts of NASCAR talk all week long. I'll have a video out today once the media conducts their separate interviews and posts them, and we can grab other nuggets of information. Tori asks, could Kaulig lease their Cup charter to RCR and move Ty Dillon over there? They won't sell it. I know people keep putting that out there year after year. Kaulig's not selling their Cup charter. And I assure you, Stellantis, who at the end of the day is Ram's boss, Dodge's boss, is not going to want them to sell a Cup charter. But could they theoretically lease that charter to RCR for a year with everything else going on right now? I wouldn't rule that out at this point. I truly would not rule that out. I don't think it'd be a long-term lease. But yeah, I wouldn't rule that out at all. And I wouldn't rule out what Eric Estep came out with the other day saying, I've heard there's a chance that Kaulig might only have one Xfinity team. I wasn't sure how much I believe that, but after hearing 5 trucks, man, I'm starting to think E-Step's on the right train of thought.
Yeah, it's curious. I would love to know, and we probably won't, like the timelines that have taken place. Obviously, they said they've been talking for months, right? Obviously, this deal doesn't get done overnight or in a week or even a month. This is something that they've been coordinating, and they apparently threw some big, bold ideas out, on against the wall to see what would work. I can't imagine that the decision to go 5 trucks was made in the last week or two, right? I have to imagine that was been decided, and the decision to how that was going to work operationally with the rest of the Cup and Xfinity side had to have been in place already. And Chris Rice said on his radio hit 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, that they were going to be a 2 Xfinity car team with the possibility of being a third if the funding was there, only a week or 2 ago. So I'm not 100% sold that they would go down to 1, but I could certainly understand if they did. This is a huge undertaking. They said themselves that they're going to have to hire 50, 60 more employees, which is what they need to do as a holistic whole to get up comparatively to the teams like Trackhouse anyway.
I think they're going to buy a team.
I do.
Frank. I think they're going to go out with that Ram checkbook, and they're going to say, so, Spire, are you really looking to get out of trucks? How about we just buy your team?
Yeah, that's 4 right there.
I'm not saying it's Spire, but I'm expecting something like that to happen. Also, I want to put some attention on this. You mentioned 5 trucks is a huge overtaking. Again, we've been talking about for weeks. We thought it might be 2, 2, 2, and then by 2027, it would be 2 Dodges in Cup, 2 Dodges in Xfinity, 2 Dodges in truck. But what this allows them to do is to have a bigger pipeline than any NASCAR team has in the sport. And I think Ryan knows how much I've been beating the pipeline drum for the last 2 or 3 years. People thought Kaulig should sell and leave the sport. This is a massive investment by them, a massive investment by Ram. And if you caught what they said during the presser, and I know we were a few minutes behind the public because we went back to the beginning, there's no intention on there being another Dodge truck on the track next year. Tim was originally talking about, well, we'll probably try to get a Cup team and have a truck team as well. He says it in the Kevin Harvick interview. Tim being the Ram / Dodge Racing CEO. Kaulig just went in there, and obviously, I'm sure it was pushed by Ram, but they are the team. There is not expected to be other Rams on the truck or on the track next year other than Kaulig, and that bodes well for becoming a tier 1 team in Cup. You can draw that conclusion, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, and they also said the trucks are sponsored. Ty Norris said they are all sponsored. They said they are the Ram factory team. That tells me Ram.
The Bill Elliott and Casey Atwood thing, but probably with various subsidiaries on there. We mentioned, I don't know if I put it on this stream, but I put it on Twitter, that people don't even realize it, but Kaulig Chevrolets in the Xfinity series have already been using a Ram sponsor. B-Pro Auto Parts is a Ram aftermarket parts place. They're not a everywhere aftermarket parts place. They are specifically a Dodge Ram aftermarket parts place. Wouldn't be surprised if Randy Dye has his hands in that one too, considering they're on Daniel Dye's car. But we didn't even know that. It's not like we knew that information forever. We found that out this week that was the case. So there's at least some ability for Chevrolet to be flexible and go, yeah, you can have something to do on our vehicles. And make no mistake, this will probably affect the budget of the entire organization, not just the truck team.
Yeah, for sure. And he made an interesting comment, Chris Rice did, about the cat's out of the bag, because they obviously had this presser at the Dodge dealership, which was owned by Randy Dye. He didn't come out and fully say it, but I am also leading credence that Daniel Dye will probably be one of the 5 drivers. he got really excited about that specific statement. It's being held there. The number, I referenced it earlier, the number 10 is on that truck. That's Daniel's number. It leads credence to that. And, that support that clearly, we didn't quite realize it up until now, but has already been funneled through at least that channel of Randy Dye. So definitely a big opportunity there. Ram will definitely have huge presence on the side of all of the trucks. I am sure they will do their best to sell some sponsorship. So it's not all Dodge, but it's clear as day that Dodge and Ram will be investing a significant amount of money to put this on the track. And I am happy that it's just Kaulig. 5 trucks is a lot. And I know the initial thought was maybe they will go 3 Kaulig or 2 Kaulig and 3 ThorSport. But just having it under one banner, funding going to one source, it's not being split. That 100% to me tells them they are clearly a tier 1 factory team. And while they had to be very careful with how they worded the question and how they answered the question, it was very clear that their expectation is to get their feet wet, and they will pursue going cup racing with Dodge, Mopar, and what that looks like to me is Kaulig will be helping the stepping stone every step of the way to get there.
Makes me wonder if some of these charters that NASCAR is wanting to sell, knowing they're doing 5 trucks, is if Kaulig is trying to expand to a 3-car cup team when they do go cup racing, because clearly the intent from Ram and Stellantis and Dodge here is to try to keep their partnership together. I don't think 3 cars is enough even. I think you're still going to need someone else to go with you. But anyone who was ruling out Kaulig possibly expanding their cup organization, I'm telling you right now, with this announcement, start putting on your radar that come 2027, and there's plenty of time, might I add. This is the other thing I want to touch on. There is plenty of time between now and 2027 to have your cup cars ready. Ray Everham had to develop an entire car, chassis, engine, and hire from square one with no employees in 493 days to be ready for their debut in 2001. It is more than 493 days now until the beginning of the NASCAR 2027 season. And on top of that, you have about 2 extra months compared to where you were with Ray Everham, and he had more to do. You're not developing all that. It's a spec car. I was listening to, oh my God, who's the owner? Jimmy Johnson talk about this. He said he would not be an owner right now if it wasn't for the spec car. I know people hate on it, but it is more advantageous to owners. That car is not going anywhere. Doesn't mean that car is not going to have changes. But all the chassis, for the most part, are the same on those cars. It's the bodies that are a bit different. And speaking of which, it's the same in the truck series. The truck is a spec truck minus the back of the truck and the nose clip. So them talking about how they have this steep hill to climb, and yes, their steep hill will be hiring employees, expanding, clearly getting another race shop, which he hinted at. No, he didn't just hint at it. He flat out said they're looking at other properties. We believe that they've possibly even closed on another property. I think we found a property that said pending something, and it's about 10 or 15 minutes from Welcome, North Carolina. This, for me, is like it's all hands on deck here, Ryan. I think this absolutely opens the door for Kaulig to now go to 3 cup cars come whenever they make that jump. Because remember, NASCAR is holding charters for new manufacturers. I don't think they want to sell those ones to go to 40. I think they'd rather sell the ones with the people they're in a court case with. I don't think they're going to be allowed to do that eventually. But I do believe, we're looking at, I wouldn't be shocked. And I know Chris Rice has beated the Xfinity drum for so long. And they acknowledged, we've seen a bit of this ourselves and assumed a bit of it, but in fact, one of our sources outright told us that Chris Rice and Ty Norris look at things way differently, and don't be surprised if one person's spearheading one side of the operation and the other one is taking the other side of the operation. And he kind of hinted at that early on in this. I wouldn't be shocked if long term they end up out of the Xfinity series, or keep one car at most. I think it's better if you're in trucks and in Cup now than the Xfinity series. I love the Xfinity series racing. If you watched Daytona last night, the quality of that race is going to be miles better than the quality of the race that we see tonight if they race, weather pending, until about the last 10 or 15 laps when they actually go, unfortunately. And the trucks drive closer to the Cup cars, and the Xfinity cars drive nothing like the Cup cars. So I do think you're talking about the possibility of Kaulig expanding the Cup operation, as long as Ram's willing to pay the money. And clearly, they're not just willing to pay the money in terms of factory backing; they're willing to put sponsorship there too. Much like you've seen if you're a Dodge fan back in the early 2000s, Dodge was all over their cars until hell. I think Dodge was even on their cars when Casey Kane came up before the Budweiser sponsorship ended up going over there. So that's a huge get for them.
100%. It's clear that Dodge, Ram, Stellantis, whatever you want to call them, will be subsidizing for a significant period of time to not only get these trucks, cars on the track, but to get them competitive. I do foresee a time, let's call it 5 years from now, where they're like, okay, we've established ourselves. We should have sponsorship. We should be running well. We're going to scale that back, but in the short term, it is a huge financial boost for Kaulig. I mean, across all three teams. I mean, I don't know how they're going to be able to fund, how much they need, what they're going to get, but to be fully funded, 5 trucks with tier 1 support on top of what they've established in the other series. I do think we'll see an initial struggle across all 3 series out of the gate. I do think it will be beneficial to all 3 by the end of the year next year. And to the point about the Xfinity car, while I definitely understand it is nothing like the current Cup car, the current climate dictates that it's not a super viable, pipeline for the drivers. You got to. I am of the opinion you got to think long term, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. There will be a Gen 8 car at some point in the not too terribly distant future, and you don't want to put all your coins in one basket, right? Like keeping the Xfinity program alive would be valuable to me, because at some point we'll see technology shift. We'll see things change in the Xfinity series to bring it more in line with the Cup cars. And at the end of the day, I think it is beneficial if you have a full-throated pipeline, because we've seen this with Toyota. They've done a great job, Toyota has, bringing drivers up through the ARCA series, the dirt tracks, into the ARCA, into the trucks, into the Xfinity. They're losing drivers because they're running out of spaces to put them. Corey Heim is a great example. He could potentially be a Chevy or Ford driver because Toyota can't find a spot for him. You also need seats, and I definitely think that's another reason we'll see that Xfinity series stick around, is that pipeline eventually will build for Dodge. Well, they'll want to have drivers in all 3 series.
Absolutely. We only have Ryan for about 15 more minutes here, so I want to. If anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to put them in there. I know there's a bunch of you guys watching right now. Look, this is one thing that's going to happen. This is just the content creation game, and I'm not talking just NASCAR. I'm talking video games, sports, movies, TV shows. Is you're going to see certain content creators for clicks now question, will they go to Cup? Is Kaulig and Dodge eventually going to be in Cup? Maybe they won't. Maybe it'll just be a truck thing. There's in my opinion, less than 1% chance that this thing stays as just a truck thing. I think they're already talking and frankly already working. And if you listen to Breakheart, he kind of took his hat on this. They're already working on their engine deal for the Cup thing and trying to put all the pieces in place there. And this is an all-encompassing thing, with today being the focus on 5 Ram trucks, which it's still a wild thing to say. But in time, you'll see that it's more. And again, there's always the possibility this thing isn't ready until 2028. I'm just saying timelines now, when you look at them, if they are in fact already working on the Cup side, like Breakheart claimed, and basically like they already claimed, they alluded to anyways during the press conference, there's time to be ready for 2027. but you need to work diligently and have the right plan in place. Anything you want to bring up, man?
Just one last thing is I do think there will be a point where they'll want to expand to 3 charters. Because one of the early conversations a couple months ago when this announcement was first made, that they would be pursuing teams like a Legacy or a Trackhouse because they already have 3 charters, and then maybe they'll add another team with 1 or 2 to kind of fill out that stable, right? And with today's current climate where everything's kind of holding up in the air, with the 2311 and front row situation, those 6 charters in limbo, will they or will they not be available from NASCAR to sell, or the potential to have up to 4 additional charters sold set aside for OEMs. That would obviously be beneficial for Kaulig if they wanted to pursue that. But I do want to just put this out there. Honda is also rumored to be coming in. So, I don't know if that means there'd only be 2 charters available or all 4, or if there'd be 8 if both Honda and Dodge come in. I don't know. I'm getting down the road on that. But what I'm really getting at,
I think you're in the right spot, because NASCAR has 4 held. That's what Steve O'Donnell said. And he just said it the other day. They have 4 charters held. So if 1 were to go to Kaulig, that's 3 additional ones to Honda. That's all you can have in NASCAR right now, unless your name is Gibbs or Hendrick.
Correct. And that is stupid, by the way, but that is a topic for another day. But I would like to know, because Kaulig would not be the only one looking for charters, right? We fully know RFK wants a charter. We fully know that, Rick Ware even says they want to be a 3-car team. There's quite a few I would say that RFK, they need a charter. I mean, I think you could easily pinpoint 4 to 5 teams today that want a charter. And right now, obviously, if 6 come for sale, then that clears that up. But then you have teams like 2311 who need charters, and it's a mess. But I think at the end of the day, if they can get a 3rd charter and figure out a way to do it on a relative cheaper basis, whether that's from the sale of one of these 6, which would devalue charters, or through the OEM expansion, that would definitely be beneficial. But if they're going to do this, the way it sounds like they want to do this, which is 100% full commitment, then they would need to be a 3-charter team. And it would not surprise me then if an additional team came along to be the secondary, because I don't think 3 is enough. Even with full support, I'd still think you need 3 to 5 to be footed, to have a good number. So I definitely think there's a ton more to iron out here, but it is clear that Kaulig stepped out first. They put their name out there, and they're going to reap the benefits without question of this partnership. And I definitely feel like this is a team altering decision for the better for Kaulig. And I don't know about RCR. They could be a Dodge team, but until RC either retires or passes on, I don't see them leaving the Chevy camp. Austin Dillon seemed like he was open to it. He wants, I think he's going to be the guy that takes over at RCR when the time comes, and he seems to be a pretty savvy businessman. He's the one that helped bring Kyle Busch into the fold there. I could see him potentially not having the same allegiance as the Chevy, but we're talking several years down the road before that were to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had the list of truck free agents, because there's some significant free agents still that are out there.
Yeah, I know you showed me a list of 5 or 6 names.
Yeah.
Roger Carruth could potentially be available if Spire doesn't pick him up. Grant Enfinger would make a lot of sense to me. Ty Majeski just signed an extension with ThorSport, so he's off the table. But yeah, there's definitely a decent crop of truck drivers that have currently Leland Honeycutt, maybe, although he might be going to Tricon. But yeah, there's definitely a chunk of drivers that I would hire from that's already in the truck series. And then also it is the truck series, right? This is where you develop. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they brought in at least one driver that's not currently in the Truck Series, that's 17, 18 years old, that races elsewhere. So, but you're definitely going to see some elder statesmen. Grant Enfinger would make a lot of sense. Ben Rhodes, if he's available, would make a lot of sense. You definitely want somebody that has some experience in the trucks to help push you forward.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, I'm already seeing on Twitter a lot of. I love Bob Pockras, but he rarely includes the full story in his tweets, which I've seen Danny Hemlin give him some shit about last week. But he says Kaulig will continue to field Chevys and Cup and Xfinity while fielding Ram and trucks, which is factual for 2026. Ty Norris said they understand they will have firewalls put up to keep each manufacturer satisfied with respect to any proprietary info. Team will add 50 plus people for the truck program. You're probably going to need to add more than that. 5 trucks, frankly. But yeah, make no mistake. Again, you can clip this out. We'll come back and revisit this, months from now. Maybe an announcement at Daytona in February. But this is not just a truck thing. This was Ram getting their day. Again, if you haven't yet, please go listen to that Kevin Harvick interview with the CEO of Dodge Racing and Stellantis. Kaulig's the team. Kaulig is the pathway to Cup, but there's a lot of things that need to be done between now and then. And I'm assuming people will ask the tough questions as we go here. But what it does is it allows us to create content for the next several months. But the one thing, unless Ryan feels otherwise, he's allowed. You might notice on our content, if you've watched this for a while, Ryan and I are not always on the same side of things, which makes our content interesting. We often disagree about things. But from my perspective, it's not even a question. It's a 99% probability that Kaulig will be running a Dodge in the Cup Series. It's just a matter of where I do think you're going to see other people questioning whether it's going to happen or not. Ryan?
It's clear to me, yeah, at this point, it's the pathway. They've made that agreement. They've signed on the dotted line. You made the comment. I didn't even catch it. It was very subtle. Matt Kaulig was nodding his head, when they were asking the question about, Dodge eventually coming to Cup and the gentleman, the VP from Dodge, forgot his name, but he was like, we have the pathway of wanting to get ourselves established, but we're looking long-term into bringing Mopar Dodge back to Cup. It's not at this point. They have hitched their wagon to each other. It's clear that they have a good relationship. They had some good connections, apparently, that we didn't know about prior to this that brought them together. And, I will say, and this is one thing about Mopar Dodge, they are very, in today's climate, they're one of, if not the only car companies that actually really cares about the muscle car, and they do things their way. They beat to their own drum, and love him or hate him, we know Chris Rice beats to his own drum and he does it his way, and it makes us pull our hair out from time to time, but he has a method to his madness, and it seems like that relationship is pretty sound. So definitely looking forward to not just the next 12 months, but 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road as they continue to build this thing. You're right. I think you hit the nail on the head that today was Ram's day. This was their culmination of all the hard work they put into it. They've got a very good looking truck you have on the screen here that they're ready to move forward. And this is the first major step for them in their renaissance in the NASCAR. And, Kaulig is now along for that ride, and I'm super excited about it.
Absolutely here. We're going to wind down this stream here in the next 5-10 minutes. John Boyd asks, how old is Richard Childers? 83? How much do you think he has in the tank? I think he's 81. And yeah, I would not rule out the possibility here that RCR goes Dodge as well, which, again, I'm firmly of the belief it doesn't matter if RCR or if the Kaulig shops are on RCR campus. They can whine and complain about it, but at the end of the day, they can't be a dictator. You can do what you do in your shop, whether it was a Dodge, a Toyota, a Ford. They own the shops. They don't lease them. they own them. So personally, I think it's better if you buy one great big shop and have it there. But if they're going to buy one that's only 10 minutes away, and they have the 3 shops, and that's fine too. But yeah, I wouldn't rule out the Richard Childress part of this, and I do wonder if those Austin Dillon comments are hinting at that. Because theoretically, I would even say if they can get the deal done, it's probable at this point. It's um, simply because look at what they did with the trucks, man. 5 trucks, all Kaulig, no thanks to everybody else. Theoretically, if you can get Kaulig and RCR, they're right there together, and you could technically go no thanks to everybody else.
Yeah, and you could go 3-3, right? If they both go
Yeah.
by charters, you've got 2 core teams of 3, and while I'm not sure if this is the pathway, ECR obviously would be the easiest way for Dodge to get into the engine game. We don't know, we know they've been working on an engine program, whether that's through ECR or on their own. We don't know that, but that would certainly be the most viable, quick pathway, right? If they wanted to go that route. So, while we have our reservations about how Kaulig and RCR have worked together as a team this year, it certainly has not felt like a team the way they originally announced it. But if Ram comes in and says, listen, you two will be our tier 1 teams, and you're on the same campus already, you're clearly very tight knit, you do the same competition meetings, this is not a 3-car team, this is a 6-car team, we are one Ram family, not one Welcome family, it could work. And I wouldn't put it past it, because as we've had these discussions in the past of who would be a second or third manufacturer that would be willing to jump ship, we really were struggling to come up with teams. So, a Kaulig RCR alignment going forward, considering they already are aligned, makes a ton of sense. We'll just see if everything kind of plays out that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Wicked day. We'll grab quotes as the day goes on, and I'll prepare to have a video out in 5 or 6 hours. Again, if you haven't yet, like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all. If you're interested in our long form podcast, the Kaulig and Trackhouse Nation podcast, please check that out on Patreon. The link is on the screen right now. Patreon.com/Kaulig Nation. Our last episode was this right here, the future of Kaulig and Trackhouse Nation. Half of that has come true. We'll see if the other half of that comes true, and we'll be doing episode 4 likely next week with this news and having a chance to let it all sink in and see what comes out, because now they're going to be the talk. Like, I don't think it was just Ryan and I that thought a couple of trucks. I think it was basically everybody that thought a couple of trucks, including Bob Pockras, who used that figure on DBC. It's not. It's 5 trucks, which is wild. And one thing's for certain, Kaulig Racing is going to be in the news for a long time to come. Ryan, final thoughts here as we close up. You can take the floor on anything. And if anyone has any other questions or comments, now is the time to do so.
Final thoughts are we've this for us, I would say this is for us a culmination of about 2 years worth of conversations and back and forth of how Kaulig could take that next step. There were rumors when Legacy finally was announced as a Toyota team before then, if Kaulig would make the jump to Toyota and get away from Chevy. And obviously they didn't do it then. We heard that they were happy with One Welcome, they're happy with Chevy, they were kind of complacent. And today Matt Kaulig said, if you don't move forward, you die. And I'm going to take him at his word for that. And that's the mantra going forward, because it didn't feel like that for the last couple of years, but it is now today a huge step in the right direction. They are no longer the 5th team in the Chevy, pyramid. They are a tier 1 Dodge Ram program, and that changes the whole complexion of their outlook, as a organization to potentially becoming a championship winning one. We sat here and talked about even a month ago, what was a pathway to a championship? I don't think either one of us would have been able to come up with one. Today, now I could sit here and say with some confidence that there is a pathway to winning championships in all 3 series. And that's something that I am super excited about as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to throw this out because I know there's a lot of people that are here specifically watching the stream because they are Dodge fans or Ram fans, and that's one of the things we spoke about weeks back. How we said you make this move, and you're opening up your team and organization a whole new section of a fan base because of how passionate they are. I grew up a Dodge fan. I grew up watching NHRA races with my dad. Anybody in the chat remember the Dodge boys back in the day? Darrell Alterman, Scott Jeffrey on early 90s to late 90s, running the Daytonas and then the Dodge Avengers. Believe me, for selfish reasons, as a Kaulig fan, I wanted this because you need to break through that glass ceiling. But this, for me, is two different sides of fandom for me coming together into one. And so, like, I love this deal. My first car was a 1993 Dodge Daytona, electric blue. Um, I'm Dodge through and through. Now, that being said, we cannot forget about their volatile history in the sport. They have exited not once, but twice. And the first time they exited adamantly. The second time it was quite quiet until towards the end. But you could see it coming as their influence on teams dwindled to fewer and fewer. Um, this is a huge day. I'm excited. I'm glad we get to cover this for days and weeks to come. And yeah, I just reiterate that this is not just a Ram deal. It will be a Cup deal. And I'm sure Dodge would also love to get their hands on Kyle Busch. That's probably another side to this for sure in terms of marketing purposes. But at the same time, Kaulig is the one going out there being a tier one team. Kaulig is the one, doing this massive expansion alongside Ram. Kaulig should be the one being the primetime Cup Series team, and I believe that they will be. I don't think there'll be any, if it were to go to Cup with RCR, I don't think you're looking at RCR as number one and Kaulig the, distant step cousin or whatever. You'd be looking at two tier one teams essentially. This is a lot of fun. Ryan's got to go. He's on a trip. We got content to do. Appreciate everybody that came out today. You made it worthwhile. And sorry, I did not see your private chat, by the way. Oh, yeah, I took care of that person long ago. Anyways, thanks for coming out. Kaulig to Rams official. Check us out on Facebook. We have 4 Facebook pages. Kaulig Nation, Kaulig Racing, Dinger Nation, and SVG Nation. They're all run by us. Shout out to Lynn, who does a great job of running the SVG Nation page for us. And shout out to Alex, who is a channel sponsor as well over at Dinger Nation. For bonus content, check out patreon.com/Kaulig Nation. And stay tuned to this channel because not only will we be updating on-track stuff, we will be updating off-track stuff in the weeks and months and years to come. Ryan, thanks for doing this today, man.
Man, it was a real blast. This was a great day for me as a fan. It's looking forward to the next chapter for this race team.
Absolutely. Drivers, staff, Cup. We'll see what all happens here in the weeks to come. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully we get some racing in tonight, and it's going to be fun covering this as we go. I almost wish we changed our colors to black and yellow and not black and green, but it's been